It's Rancher Mike's Morning Mailbag. He'll answer questions that you may have. It's Morning Mailbag, Morning Mailbag, Morning Mailbag with Rancher Mike and Tito.
Howdy folks, welcome to the first episode of my newest YouTube series I am calling Morning Mailbag with Rancher Mike. You know, I've been making YouTube videos of life out here on my ranch for the last couple of years and I really enjoy it. But from time to time I get follow-up questions asking me for more information on some of those videos or other general questions about life on a ranch. So I thought it might be helpful for me to come up with a series to help answer some of your questions. I got my trusted sidekick Tito here who helps me wrangle all those questions so I can put together these episodes. And I couldn't do it without him. So, without further ado, Tito, what do you got for me? Appreciate that, buddy. This first letter comes from Wendy P. in Temple, Texas. Let's see what Wendy wants to know. Dear Rancher Mike, I love your videos. Well, thank you, Wendy. I appreciate that. Just curious, how did you get started in ranching? That is a great question, Wendy. You know, Wendy, like a lot of folks, I didn't grow up on a ranch. I actually grew up in the city. However, later in life, during my professional career, I encountered a lot of people who were really into hunting and took me along on some of their hunting trips. And I found that I really enjoyed it. I started off with dove and ducks and geese and slowly moved up to deer and other wild game. So in about 2008, I decided that I wanted to find a little piece of property to lease so I could hunt year-round. Well, as luck would have it, I actually bought a place outside of Austin, and I haven't looked back since. I actually live out here full-time, and all of the videos that you see on my YouTube channel are some of the things that I actually do on a daily basis. I also got into farm and ranch real estate so I could help other folks find their own little slice of heaven, and I've really enjoyed that as well. All right, Wendy, thanks for your question. I really appreciate it. All right, Tito, what else you got? Appreciate that, amigo. All right, this next letter comes from a Mitchell S. in Lafayette, Louisiana. Let's see what Mitchell wants to know. Dear Rancher Mike, I noticed that you have a lot of interesting videos on your YouTube page. Yes, I do, and I try to keep them interesting for you guys. I am curious, what is the craziest thing that you have ever seen on your ranch? Well, let me tell you, I've seen a lot of crazy things in the 12 years that I've been out here, so it's hard to pick just one. But I've put together my top 5 just for you. Hit it, Tito.
Number 5.
So here's an odd one. I was driving in the back of my property earlier this year and I came across this weird looking vine on the ground. As I followed the vine to the end, lo and behold, there was a huge watermelon growing all by itself. The place where I found the watermelon doesn't get much traffic, so it was really bizarre to find something growing there, much less a perfect specimen ready for the picking. Of course, I had to cut it open and give it a try. And here's my candid assessment. Look at that! All right, let's give this a try and see what this tastes like. Wow, that is super sweet. I mean, that's like sweeter than any store-bought watermelon I've had in a long time. So there you have it, a feral watermelon. You never know what you're gonna find out here on the ranch when you're running around. It's a new adventure every day.
Number 4.
Here's another wacky one. I came out to check on my chickens one day and found a guinea hen running around in the pen with my birds. I have no idea where the guinea came from. It just showed up and decided it wanted to play chicken for the day. Wherever it came from, my chickens weren't too keen on letting it join their flock, as you can see in the video. But that didn't deter the guinea from trying. It was like the birds were playing a game of Marco Pollo. The more my chickens squawked, the more the guinea screeched. By the next morning, the guinea was gone, never to be seen again. I guess it decided that all that running around and shrieking was for the birds. I set out a possum trap one evening because something kept attacking my chickens at night. I actually put one of the dead chickens in the trap to see if I could catch the culprit. Well, I ended up catching the culprit all right, but it turned out to be an owl. This mama owl was none too happy to be caught in this trap, and she let me know it by hissing and snapping her beak at me. Of course, I let her go as quickly as possible, but not until I got her to fess up on how many licks it really takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop. I would tell you what she said, but like most of us, you'd never make it.
Number 2.
Speaking of finding strange things in traps, this one was a complete surprise to me. I have a hog pen set up around one of the trees in the back of my property, and it has high side panels and a narrow entrance to discourage anything other than hogs from entering. Well, that didn't stop a deer from getting in, and I don't mean any ordinary deer, an albino fallow deer. First of all, fallow deer aren't native to Texas, so it isn't common to see them just running around. But to find an albino fallow deer trapped in a hog pen? Well, that's one for the X-Files for sure. As you see in the video, I was able to let it out by opening a side panel on the hog pen. I never did see that fallow deer again, and if I didn't have the video to prove it, I would have thought it was a dream.
Number 1.
And that brings us to the number 1 strangest thing I've ever seen on my ranch. I'll let my buddy Hal take it from here.
I couldn't believe it. I got in the stand this morning hearing all this rattling. When it finally got light enough, I discovered there was like an 8 or 9 point buck trapped in the hog trap.
And that's the stand that he was in. So we're walking up to it now to see if we can let it go without injuring ourselves.
I'm sure some of you are wondering why we didn't just dispatch the buck instead of trying to set it free. Well, for starters, shooting a trapped deer is illegal, and while we could have shot it once it got out of the trap, that wouldn't have been very ethical. Eventually, we reached the hog trap with the buck inside, and as you can see, he was highly agitated. I apologize for the video quality, but this happened back in 2009 when mobile phones were focused on being better phones than cameras. Go figure. Knowing that the video quality wasn't the best, I switched over to camera mode and snapped these photos to memorialize this freak event. Hal and I could see that the buck was starting to injure itself thrashing around inside the hog trap, so we knew we had to act quickly. Fortunately, Hal and I were able to get the door to the hog trap open without the buck attacking us, and as we stepped back, I quickly started recording again.
Got him
You can
out.
barely see the buck leaving in this clip.
Holy crap. My hands are shaking, man. That was a little nerve-wracking having to go up there and open that door. I thought for sure he was going to stab me with those antlers.
Wouldn't take much, would it?
No, he was thrashing. Wow. Wow. That was intense. Look what he did to the bucket. He destroyed the bucket. He moved the hog trap.
Yeah. He practically
He
turned
bent it.
over.
He did that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, look at this.
Yeah.
Oh, look at the blood.
All over.
All in a day's work.
As a cool footnote, our story and my photos appeared in the local paper. Well, that was a fun trip down memory lane. Thanks for the question, Mitchell S. I hope you enjoyed that segment. I think we have time for one more. What else you got, Tito? Uh-oh, it looks like Tito has busted out his laptop. That can mean only one thing. This next question is coming to us from the interweb. Hey, Tito, would you mind printing out that email for me? Thanks, compadre. This next question is coming to us from Sam G. in New York City. I'm just playing with you, Sam. I appreciate all of my viewers, wherever they may hail from. Sam asks, hey, Rancher Mike, I live in New York City. We got that. And I'm thinking about raising chickens. What breed do you recommend for the cold of the Northeast? Well, first of all, Sam, I think it's very impressive that you're trying to raise chickens in New York City. I'm not quite sure how you're going to do it, but you got to send me some photos and videos once you get set up. The thing is, chickens are pretty hardy, so I don't think you're going to have any problems raising chickens up in the Northeast. If you're really concerned, you might consider getting a breed that has feathered legs. One of those that I actually raise myself is called a French black copper marron chicken. Now you got to be careful because there is a copper marron breed that is from the UK that does not have feathered legs. So if you're going to start raising them and you want the feathered legs, you need to make sure that you go to a reputable place and are assured that they have the right genetics. I don't think you actually have to have chickens with feathered legs, but if you're concerned, might not be a bad idea. In reality, what's most important is that you have good housing for your chickens, so you want to make sure that you have a nice coop area that they can live in that is not going to be too exposed to the elements. You also want to make sure that you always have a source of water and of course food for them, and that the water source doesn't freeze. As long as you do that and your chickens aren't out in the wind exposed, I think they'll be fine. The chickens can actually survive pretty well in the cold. One other thing you want to make sure is in your coop that you put a 2x4 down so that they can perch on that. A lot of folks will just put a round dowel or some kind of stick for the chickens to roost on. The issue is that if you do that, they have to curl their claws around it and it leaves the bottoms exposed. Whereas if you put a 2x4, when they grip it, they'll lay on top of it with their bodies, and their bodies and feathers will cover most of their feet and prevent frostbite. Aside from that, I think you're going to be all right. Again, please send me some photos and videos to follow up. I'd like to see how things turn out for you. Well, that's it for this episode of Morning Mailbag with Rancher Mike. I appreciate all of you all watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my YouTube channel at Rancher Mike. And if you want to have one of your questions read on one of my future episodes, you can reach me by snail mail at the P.O. Box information listed at the bottom of this video. Or you can also find me on my website, ranchermike.com, or on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Rancher Mike, because there can only be one. And I hope that until next time, you all stay happy, healthy, and safe. And I know the holidays are upon us, but be careful not to eat too much, or as Tito likes to say, you'll end up stuffed. Thanks for watching, amigos, and we'll see you next time.
If you like this video, be sure to give a big thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel for more great videos you love. Until the next time, be well, my friends.